Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. We have talked a lot about some of the decisions that the Browns get to make this offseason, right? Who they can trade for, who they're going to bring in to play quarterback, who are they going to take the number 2 overall pick, what they're going to do at 33. And those are fun conversations to have, and we'll continue to have those conversations. But what I want to talk about in this video is a question of what or where is the better word. Where are the Browns organizationally? And how does that change what is going to be determined a successful season for this team? The reason I think it's important that this question be brought up is that it is clear to me that where the Browns sit as an organization April 9th, 2025 is a completely different place than they thought they were April 9th, 2024. Last year, the Browns were coming off of a 11-win season. We felt like Deshaun started to play his best football in Cleveland at the end of the season before he got hurt. And there was a real hope that maybe this is finally the year where Deshaun puts it together and he looks like a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, the guy that you traded for. There was a little bit of hope there, right? Either way, the Browns were in a situation to where they were operating under the belief that they had a quarterback. And since Andrew Berry's gotten here, and this is the unique privilege Andrew Berry has had as general manager, he has been able to operate with the assumption that he has a quarterback. When he took the job in 2020, the assumption was Baker Mayfield is going to be your quarterback. Baker plays well. The assumption's still there in 2022. Baker Mayfield 2023. 2022, you move on from Baker Mayfield, but you bring in Deshaun Watson, who you see as an upgrade at the time. He gets suspended, but you're willing to deal with that, whatever it may be. 2023, you still looking at Deshaun as your starter, and then same thing with 2024. Now, obviously, the wheels fell off the wagon in 2024 with Deshaun leaving the Browns and Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski in a place that they have not been since they've been in charge of the Cleveland Browns, which is quarterbackless, right? I've mentioned this plenty of times that I think this is the driving force amongst why a lot of people just really want to draft the quarterback and they don't even care who the quarterback is with the number 2 overall pick. Because if you draft a quarterback with a number 2 overall pick, you will feel like you have a quarterback. But the truth is this. There is nothing the Browns can do this offseason that would make them a team with a quarterback. Right? Once Matt Stafford wasn't going to be traded, it does not appear that Geno Smith was interested in coming to Cleveland. When those 2 options weren't there, there was nothing you could do to make you feel like this team was going to have a quarterback. And that meant how you were going to operate this offseason is just going to be completely different. Because when you think you have a quarterback, you're willing to go all in. You're in win now mode because you got a quarterback. It's the most important thing, right? That's the final piece. That's the last Exodia piece to the hand if we play in Yu-Gi-Oh. That part not being there changes how you have to operate as an organization. That's why I asked the question of like, hey, where is this team organizationally? Because they're not in full rebuild. I know we live in a time of people jumping to one extreme to another, right? Like nothing can be in between or, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But the truth is that the Browns are nowhere near a full rebuild. They're not close to doing it. They're not even considering doing a full rebuild. But they're not trying to maximize a window because right now they're quarterbackless. And when you're quarterbackless, there's no such thing as a championship window. So when that's the case, how do you judge success? Because for the last few years, we've wanted the Browns to play well enough at the end of the season to where we legitimately felt like they were legit championship contenders. That's been the hope for this team for a little while now. They have not lived up to that, obviously, but that's been the hope for this team for a little while. Now that that's not going to be the expectation, what is the expectation? What is the hope for this team? Are we happy going 500, understanding that this is a building block to go further? Are we happy going above 500? Do we want Kevin to demonstrate that he can provide a floor as a coach and get you to the playoff in a Mike Tomlin style effort? What is it that we're trying to see be proved this season? Because if you're not in the realm of championship contender, then that means how you judge success for your season has to be different than how you viewed it as a championship contender, just by definition. So what is the measure for success this year? How are they looking at this year? What do they view as a success for this season? Because they're not in asset accumulation mode. I don't think they're going to intentionally try to lose. They got to win games. And I will always bring this up. Winning games is important to make sure that you can sustain any development in your program, whether it be cultural or whether it be individual growth within your program, right? There's a lot of people who think winning, losing on Sundays, that doesn't matter with all that stuff. But that is just, in my view, ignorant of the reality of the fact that this is a workplace with people in it, right? And nobody gets better if you losing a ton, because everybody feels like a loser and everybody thinks they stink. And if nobody's confident, nobody's getting better. So to those who will say it shouldn't matter, the Browns aren't in a range to win a championship, they should just lose out all their games so they can get all the top picks. I think that theory is very short-sighted because it ignores the fact that you could get those top picks, but you can't develop them because you have a program that is dirt to develop these guys, right? Like, you don't have any kind of culture in that building, because when you lose on purpose, you lose all that other stuff too. You do need to win games. You do need to build confidence in this system with this team. You do need to build confidence within these players and put them in situations to be successful so that confidence can continue the growth of these players, the maturity of these players. When you stink, you deal with more immaturity amongst players because players feel like, well, it don't matter. You got to win. Say what you want about Pittsburgh. Say what you want about Baltimore. These teams have been better than us for the last 20 years, and they've been picking from worse spots in the draft than us with less picks than us for the last 20 years. But they seem to be better at churning out players and developing players than the Cleveland Browns, despite the fact that the Browns have the advantage when it comes to assets. Assets are important, but you got to have other stuff to make sure those assets can be successful. So I do think it's important that the Browns win games. Now, knowing that's the case, I can understand if they're not going to win 12 games or 13 games or even 11 games or maybe even 10 games, right? But I do want the Browns to show some tangible improvement from last year. I want them to demonstrate that 3-win record last year was largely because they had some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL last year, and that they're a much more capable team than that, and that they are closer than people think, and that they just need to figure out the quarterback position. Now, if we can get some hope at the quarterback position, amazing, right? If you draft somebody at 33 and that guy gives you hope by the end of the season, then we're at the best place possible. But if it takes another draft class or maybe a draft class after that to find that hope, then so be it. But that's what I find myself grappling with, is trying to understand exactly what my expectations should be given how different of a place the Browns are than what I'm used to. Because my whole life, the Browns have either been rebuilding or trying to throw every asset at the window to win now. And they've been doing the rebuilding thing way more. Right? They've been doing the rebuilding thing way more than they've been doing the other thing, right? But we've been in those two extremes primarily as Browns fans. This is the first time I can think of that the Browns are in a bit of a holding pattern, right? And I think that's the best way to describe where this team is organizationally. They're trying to hold firm and find a solution at quarterback maybe this year. If they don't think it's there this year, maybe next year, right? But you can't be in a holding pattern forever. Like, you're going to have to pick somebody from one of these next 3 draft classes and roll with them, because if you wait any longer than that, the window's gone. And what the window is Myles Garrett, right? His prime. Denzel Ward, his prime. So you got to do something soon with the position, but you also can't rush it. It's going to be interesting to see how the Browns handle this. And I think this offseason, and I've said this before, it's the single most important offseason for Andrew Berry in terms of how he's going to be viewed here, right? He views himself as, what do you say, the arbiter or not the arbiter? That makes no sense. He views himself as the steward of the Cleveland Browns. Well, what he does this offseason, how well he drafts, and if he is successful with the number 2 overall pick, all of that stuff has the power to drastically swing favorability in his direction in a massive way, or make it so that, Andrew Berry ends up being kind of not the scapegoat, but kind of seen as the problem with the Browns, right? Like, how we view Andrew is going to be heavily weighted by how they perform this offseason and how these decisions they make age over the course of the next few years. This is an incredibly important offseason for Andrew Berry, right? This is an important offseason for Kevin Stefanski as well, but I think it's more important for Andrew because this is the one where he's on the spotlight, right? Kevin's kind of off the hook on this one. The owner just came out and said the whole Deshaun thing was kind of on him. We didn't really assume that Kevin had much to do with that, even though, it was reasonable to think he had something to do with it. So Kevin's not really the one on the hot seat. He has 2 Coach of the Year awards. He has a great reputation amongst the rest of the league. He's not the one that people are looking at, wondering if he's good at his job. It's Andrew, right? That's the one people got on the hot seat in their minds. Maybe not in the hot seat in real life for the Browns, but a lot of people feel like Andrew is on their own personal hot seat. How he performs this offseason will define him, at least in Cleveland. And he's done some good things here. He's done some things that I didn't think were great. So I think this is going to be the tipping point for him this offseason, how he sets the foundation for this team to be able to maintain this holding pattern that they're in and set them up for success in the future, whether they get some hope at the quarterback position this year or have to wait till another draft class to get that hope. But what do you think about the Browns being in this in-between world? And look, let's be real. Most NFL teams are in this in-between phase where they're kind of trying to win it all, but really they're just trying to win as many games as possible and see where it takes them. That's where the Browns are. They got to just try to win as many games as possible and see where that road takes them. That is the only way forward for this team. I wouldn't try to get cute and tank. I think that's stupid for so many different reasons, and I don't think it even helps you get better. But I think that's where the Browns have to be, right? Let's put your best foot forward. Let's not sell all our assets to be good this year, but let's try to, within reason, win as many games as possible. See where we're at the end of the year and assess. Hopefully you get a lot of wins out of this and you make the playoffs and You get some hope at the quarterback position, and you get some hope with the number 2 overall pick, and people feel a lot better about this season just because of that, right? There are a lot of different ways Browns fans can end up very happy after this season, whether the team goes 500, 9 games, 10 games. But that's what this season's going to be about. It's going to be about some of the other storylines, some of the smaller stuff, instead of the overall big picture of trying to win a championship. This is more of a building block, right? A foundation, if you will, of what the next window could be built from and what the next window could be built around and the talents that could surround that window. We're going to see what Andrew Berry can do. He's had the job long enough. He's experienced enough now to where you expect him with this situation, with this opportunity to cook. We'll see what he does. Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.